Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Fight the spread and take a stand against coronavirus. Wear a mask in public. Stay at least 6 feet apart from others. And get tested. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/COVID-19.
Happy Thursday to you. I am Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, update on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. As you heard, it's brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, which, by the way, if you are having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Center. Coping with COVID is also brought to you by Palmetto Media Connections. Well, today we've got information on resources for you if you are having some challenges with your housing. The Columbia branch of the NAACP has partnered with several entities to bring you some housing assistance, and we know it's so needed because of COVID. Oveta Glover, who is the president of the NAACP, the Columbia branch, joins us. Thank you, Oveta, and also her housing chair, Ralph Bailey. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We look forward to the information you're going to share.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Also, first-time politician, but long-time activist, Deanna Miller Berry joins us from Denmark. She is running for the mayor of Denmark. We're going to talk to Deanna and find out all about her and about her mayoral campaign. Thank you, Deanna. We look forward to you, too.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. That and more coming up next on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. The first 2 cases of a COVID variant first found in South Africa have now been detected in South Carolina. The CDC says both are adults with no travel history and no connection, one in the Low Country and the other in the PD. DHEC says there is no evidence that the variant causes more illness, and the existing vaccine does provide protection. Richland School District 1 will return to hybrid learning beginning February 1st. Now, all students will have 2 days of in-person learning and 3 days virtual. February 16th, elementary students will be in person for 4 days. Now, the district says if a parent does not feel comfortable with face-to-face learning, their children can remain virtual. And another South Carolina attorney has joined the team to defend President Trump in his second impeachment trial. Deborah Barber, a former federal prosecutor turned defense attorney who specializes in white-collar crime, has been hired. Now, she'll join Butch Bowers, who we mentioned last week is the first South Carolina attorney announced to craft a defense for the trial set to begin February 8th. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID. And if you need information on COVID testing, SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of time, states, and location for COVID testing in South Carolina. Visit the website, scdheck.gov, for more information, not only about statewide COVID testing, but also flu testing. Now, you can also visit gogettested.com. Now, that's a great resource and website for you to find locations and get your results in less than 48 hours. You can actually find locations and make an appointment to get a test. That's gogettested.com. Now, check the screen at the bottom. We'll be giving you information throughout the show, including information for organizing a COVID screening at your event or in your community. Plus, if you or someone you know is immobile and unable to get to a COVID test, Richland and Clarendon County paramedics are actually doing in-home COVID testing. Call 911 for more information. The number for the DHEC Care Line is also at the bottom of the screen. Now, you can call the DHEC Care Line for information on transportation, the COVID vaccine locations and times, plus more information on the COVID vaccine is listed on the screen. Another place you can get the COVID vaccine right now is Lexington Medical Center. You can see that information on the screen right now. Also, they are actually taking appointments for COVID vaccines. Now, of course, veterans are also in the group currently authorized to get the COVID vaccine, and the VA is handling that. You can see that information listed on the screen also. And again, all of this will be scrolling throughout the show. In other news, the South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services are offering free mortgage and rental information. You can see that information on the bottom of the screen. And of course, as I mentioned, we're going to talk with the folks from the Columbia branch of the NAACP. They're going to give us yet another resource. And also the City of Columbia is continuing their 6-month payment plan. If you are behind, they're giving you grace for your water bills. You could also get your bill paid up to 75%. If you need some help with virtual learning and virtual working, check out Rashonda Pratt's Facebook page. She has her YouTube channel. She has an entire YouTube channel dedicated to helping people with virtual learning and virtual working. Don't forget to subscribe to her Facebook page. And the South Carolina Education Association's annual scholarship is currently accepting applications for graduating high school seniors. They're offering a $2,500 scholarship. The deadline is February. So if you or someone you know needs that information, please have them to log on to that website. The information is listed on the screen and apply right now. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We're actually streaming live on the Coping with COVID home, which is the Tailor Made Production Facebook page. Please go over there and hit like and follow. And not only will you be able to watch Coping with COVID every time it airs, Wednesday through Friday at 2 p.m., you can get all of your COVID-related updates. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Want to say hi to all of you YouTubers. Please go over on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. We also have a presence on Twitter and Instagram, and we'd love for you to follow us there also. Listen, don't forget that we want you to post and share. If you feel like this is some information that somebody needs, and it definitely is, please continue to post and share and get this information out to the masses. Now, COVID has affected us in every way. We've talked about it several times on the show. Almost a year now we've been broadcasting. Physically, emotionally, and financially, many people have experienced changes with employment and making ends meet. I reported last week that newly elected President Joe Biden has halted evictions at least until March. And we know of several programs and initiatives that have been implemented to help people pay their rent and mortgage. Another one is being launched by the NAACP. To tell us more about it, Columbia Chapter President Oveta Glover and Housing Chair Ralph Bailey. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We are
absolutely.
excited about it.
Well, this sounds very exciting, Oveta. Tell me how and why did the NAACP decide to launch this initiative?
Well, the Columbia branch was chosen by the national NAACP because South Carolina is pegged as being one of the states that will have the highest eviction rates. So they decided that we needed to start somewhere in South Carolina because of that fact. And because the Columbia branch is the largest branch within the state, we are the catalyst. And so what we do will spread out and hopefully, and when I say South Carolina, they are not launching this program in any other states. So we will be the catalyst. It's going to put South Carolina on. Yeah, really wow. So we are excited about it. And it will launch, as you said, February the 1st. The purpose of the event is to assist during the crisis, during this unprecedented time, during the crisis of tenants, to help the tenants and landlords communicate So all of them can be helped. And
Yeah.
and this is one reason we're coming forth with it. Yes.
So tell me about who are some of the partners are, because one, you say this is an initiative that only is happening in Columbia, which is amazing. So who are some of the partners? Who are you partnering with?
Well, of course, my fabulous city of Columbia is a starch partner. They've reached in. Appleseed, South Carolina Appleseed will also do so. Nelson and Mullins, some members from that area. NAACP, of course. And we have some other entities that decided or are deciding to become a part of it. But most important, Trey, is the community. We need the community to grab hold to this program so one can help each one reach one. And
Yeah.
that's where the navigators come in. Yes.
Yeah, well, you
most
mentioned
important.
navigators, and I definitely want to talk about that because there are several tentacles to this. Because not only does it help people who are renters and mortgage holders, it also helps landlords, and then the community can get involved as navigators. Tell us about that. How does the navigator part work? And either of you can answer that.
Ralph, go ahead, Ralph.
Under the navigator program,
Ralph.
we will train. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
He's going.
We'll provide them training. Training session will be this coming Saturday. It's a 5-hour training session, and basically they are not attorneys by far. They're only giving advice as far as what they guiding people as to where they can go to get this assistance. We will take an application from them. After reviewing the application and the material that they provide us, we can then decide where they need to go to get assistance. And that's their major purpose.
So the navigators that are being trained are actually the people that are going to help the folks get the information. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, are there qualifications for navigators, and is it a paid position?
It's strictly volunteer, and
no, it's not a paid
position. We're willing to take you on. You can come and join us.
Okay, so the training is this Saturday, and how can people get information on that? How can people, if they're interested, register to become a navigator?
Oveta, you have that information?
Okay, there is an email address that's scrolling across the screen right now. They need to email. It's better to email, or they can call the office. The office number is 803-256-8771, extension 2, and we will return. If they don't get an answer, we will return the call. But it's better to contact email address JSCHOTTENFELD@NAACPnet.org. And we will respond and get you going to again the training. The training is Saturday from 1 until 5. And it's a very easy training. It's just making sure that our navigators know how to use customer service, etc.
Okay, so this is volunteers. You're looking for volunteers to work as navigators to assist the people with their housing information. And as you said, that information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now, and will be scrolling throughout the show. So that training is Saturday. So what does the actual program entail after you get the navigators in place? What does the housing assistance program entail? And again, Mr. Bailey, can you answer that?
Well, it depends on their needs. If they're facing eviction, naturally, we're going to refer them to an attorney. The other thing is we will make sure that they have that communication with the landlord. And it's to bring both of them together. The landlord, he has a chance to gain something with the funds that will be available under this COVID. He has a chance to gain something if he's willing to let the people stay in his property. So it's a win-win situation for both the tenant and the landlord.
Right.
And Trey, keep in mind, this is a national crisis, not just a South Carolina crisis.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And South Carolina is really strapped right now with a shortage of housing. what was $100,000 to $150,000 house 2 years ago doesn't exist anymore. And it's very competitive out there. Just if you find one of those houses in that price range, everybody and their brother is trying to put in an offer on that particular house.
Yeah.
And they are scarce.
Yeah.
So affordable housing in Columbia, it's not even being looked at.
Well, I don't want to get in that conversation because I do know that City Councilwoman Tamika Isaac Devine is actually chairing a committee on affordable housing. I was going to mention that. So I do know that there's some steps are being taken to at least address that. But going back to the housing assistance program that you guys have implemented. So if someone is facing eviction now is this a renter or a mortgage holder? The first thing that you will do would be, as you say, refer them to an attorney.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you mentioned that this is a win-win situation for either the landlord or the mortgage company, because you say there are funds available to help. Tell us about that. How does that work?
Well, I don't have all the details on the funding, but I do know the COVID package includes mortgage funding, and of course, South Carolina will get its piece. The other thing we need to keep in mind right now too. It's my understanding from the sheriff department, they are evicting right now having as many as 15 evictions right now a week. And this is why I want to put the emphasis on the housing shortage. These people are not going to have anywhere to go. And this COVID is doing nothing but still continuously to kick the can down the road. So this is going to be going on for quite a while. I don't know how we can resolve this housing shortage. Granted, there are going to be a lot of foreclosures. They're coming up. That's one of the things I deal with on a daily basis with banks. That's the type of business I'm in. I list property for banks.
Right.
So there are a lot of them coming up. You had a lot of these hedge path companies come up over the years, and they buy 20, 30 houses a month, and they're in trouble. So we're going to have a serious problem with the housing shortage, and this is why this program is so important, to try to keep these people and their landlords together.
Right. We're talking to Ralph Bailey. He's housing chair, and Oveta Glover is a president of the Columbia branch of the NAACP. They have a housing assistance program, if you can put that flyer back up. And a couple of things are happening. One, they are looking for volunteers to act as navigators, and that training, as you can see on the screen, is this Saturday at 1:00. But then when can people actually start utilizing this service? Oveta.
Right. So they call in now. We actually launch off on the 1st, which is Monday. But if they call and leave a message, we will reach back out to them as well. And to reiterate something, Trey, this program is for us to be a navigator or someone in between to help them guide and try to release some of the stress people will be having. They will know that they have somewhere to go or someone to call that will assist them some kind of way. We are still looking for funding, so we might be able to assist them in that manner as well. But most important thing is to let people know that they have a corner to turn to get this assistance. And we are trying to encourage the landlords, to have a heart. Even if they want to say, hey, you got to go, inform the tenants that have someone that they can go to try to get some legal assistance or whatever it is. So one hand shakes the other and they'll help each other. And that's just the way you're feeling about it. Yeah.
That's Oveta Glover. She's president of the Columbia branch of the NAACP. She and Ralph Bailey, who is the housing chair, are talking to us today about the housing assistance program the branch is initiating. It is a nationwide program that the Columbia branch has been chosen to participate in. Now, Mr. Bailey, you mentioned if people are already facing eviction, one resource is that they can get help. Attorney to help. Now, what if they're not facing eviction? What if they're just feel like, I'm a couple of months behind. I haven't got my eviction notice yet. what are the resources for those folks?
Well, we would still more than likely refer them to an attorney, legal services, simply because these volunteers, they're not licensed. They're not licensed attorney, and they're not licensed real estate agents. And of course, a licensed real estate agent cannot do attorney's business either. So basically, we're that guidance that they'll need to go to the proper agency that can help them.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say that it kicks off on Monday, so if people want to utilize these services, like as you said, Oveta, they call you, and then what happens next? You connect them with these navigators. Do they go to a certain place? How does the process?
They will be assigned to a navigator. Mm-hmm. to go through the process and the application.
Navigator, and the navigator that they receive walk through. Yes. The navigator, they will assign the navigator and turn the navigator.
Yeah, Oveta, your connection is a little. The navigator, your connection is a little shaky. So can we let Mr. Bailey answer the question until your connection gets a little stronger? Go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
Okay.
I got it.
At time of application, the application will be assigned to one of the navigators in the program. That navigator will review their application and determine what assistance they may need. Mm-hmm. And at that time, they will suggest to them where they need to go to get that assistance.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the navigators have the resources to forward to these people. So let me ask you this. Is there, because a lot of people are intimidated by calling people by asking for help. So what is there a hand holding process, so to speak? Because some people need their hand held during this process. It's intimidating. People are feeling a bevy of emotions: afraid, ashamed, embarrassed, downtrodden. Is there anything, I guess, in place to really help these people after they call the navigators? The navigators have given them the information. Is there a follow-up or any other type of assistance that you guys are providing for these folks that need the help?
That's she's talking. Are you able to hear me now clearly?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thank you. The navigators, this is where the training comes in on Saturday, because we are headstrong about customer service. And for instance, we did a trial run of it. And if you call in and you can detect someone is really hype and really upset, and then the first thing you want to do is kind of calm them down before you ask any questions of any kind. Even if it's asking about, what kind of ice cream you like, something to break the of the call, to let them feel that it's comfortable. Okay, I can talk to Oveta. Let me tell her all of my business. Or no, I can't. So at that time, the navigator needs to be able to say, this isn't the person that I might need to deal with. Let me give her to or him to Oveta. So we're going to develop a circle of navigators that will be able to adjust to the attitudes or be able to detect when we need to have another person coming through and taking care of that.
Want to thank everyone. Go ahead, Oveta.
Those are some of the avenues that we will be taking. We've got to develop that customer service first of all, because this is going to be very trying for anybody that calls in. And
Absolutely.
The key word, they have to trust you. Mm-hmm. We need to let them know that they can trust us, and that's part of that customer service.
Oveta Glover is a president of the Columbia branch of the NAACP. She's joined by Ralph Bailey. He's housing chair. And they're talking about the housing assistance program that is going to kick off Monday in Columbia, South Carolina. They are helping folks who need help with housing assistance, people who are either facing eviction or having some challenges paying their rent or mortgage. Get the information they need. If you know someone who needs this help, please post and share so we can get this message to the masses, because this is a situation like Mr. Bailey mentioned that a lot of people are facing right now. I mean, COVID has certainly affected people financially. People have lost their jobs, and housing is a major issue across the country and also here in Columbia, South Carolina. So please continue to post and share this message out so we can get the message to the masses. So, okay, so to reiterate, the first thing is Saturday, you guys are having a training for navigators, and that's to help people with the housing assistance. And people can see the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you're interested in being a navigator, please call or go to that website. If we can get the information back up, Lauren, I would appreciate it. People can do that. And then beginning Monday, people can go ahead and call to get the information, and they will be forwarded to to someone who can help them. Oveta, Mr. Bailey, is that
Trey,
it?
if I may, I just yes, Trey, if I may, I just want to encourage your listeners and anyone else that they can tell to pass the word. The strongest form of advertisement is word of mouth.
Word of mouth, absolutely.
Right. You or someone you may know may need this assistance. If you're not talking about it, they will not know about it. And I do want to say that the attorneys are pro bono. There'll be no charge for any of this assistance, none of it. So take advantage of it. It's the first in South Carolina. It's the first for Richland County. No other county is going to be able to adapt or utilize the system yet. So be the first. Let's be proud about what we do. Do not be ashamed to reach out for assistance, because it's out.
Yeah.
And wear your mask.
And wear your mask. Oveta Glover, president of the Columbia branch of the NAACP, Mr. Ralph Bailey, who is the housing chair. Thank you both so much for coming on, for sharing the information, and for accepting the charge to be part of this innovative and groundbreaking initiative to help the people of Columbia, South Carolina, and Richland County. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you joining us on Coping with COVID.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Once again, don't forget about the NAACP Housing Assistance Program. The flyer is on the screen right now. Not only can you get information about helping you with your mortgage or your rent, it's also helping landlords. And if you want to help some folks get this information, they are also having navigator training on Saturday. Well, this is certainly the year of the woman. Women of color particularly have been elevated in various ways. Deanna Miller Berry is taking advantage of that momentum, and we'll talk to her next about her efforts next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com and Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
People will be able to look 100 years from now. They will know how we got over. This makes it even more important that we shine this light.
Part of it also wasn't the fact that we couldn't have the physical graduation, but I also couldn't celebrate with my family out of town.
For me, I feel like this is a new normal. This is not going away anytime soon, I don't think.
Anything that's happened before can happen again. And the same thing is at play with this virus.
We are no longer in a building, and we've talked about church being, with us, in us.
Have you traveled abroad late in the past 6 months? We were trying to trace it back as early as November.
I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. As you heard, it's brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together SC, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, and the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Coping with COVID is also brought to you by Palmetto Media Connections and Agape Counseling and Training Center. If you are having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Center. Want you to go ahead and post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. So much great stuff going on in our community, and we want to help inform the community. Quantarica Church, I think that is Quantarica Church, is watching. Thank you so much, beautiful. We appreciate you watching Coping with COVID, and everyone else that's watching too. So Aretha Franklin sings a song. I don't know if you remember this song. It wasn't like a big song for her. It wasn't Ain't No Way. It wasn't Respect. It was called Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves. And this is certainly a time that I think that song rings true. We've got a first female woman of color as the VP, a record number of female entrepreneurs and women breaking barriers all over the nation. And Deanna Miller Berry is using that momentum to let her light shine. She's running for the mayor of Denmark, South Carolina. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Tre. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to see you again, because we actually first connected when I was working with Marianne Williamson, who was a presidential candidate. And you then were working on active, helping to inform the public about the problems in Denmark, which at the time was the water crisis. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like I said, that is the first time you and I met. And the other day, Marianne was a guest on Conversations with Deanna.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So we're still connected. We still talk. We're still trying to make a difference and make a change. But what happened in Denmark, South Carolina was something that should have never happened. It was an injustice, an act committed against a body of people who were impoverished and classified as being a very poor community, where a non-EPA approved pesticide was used in the city's public drinking water. Now, halo sand is used to clean and disinfect pools and spas. So imagine going to a resort or a hotel and you're wanting to get in the pool, but you can't because they just cleaned the pool. You have to wait. So imagine a chemical of that magnitude being dumped into your entire public drinking water system for 10 years without the public's knowledge, in undocumented amounts and unmeasured amounts.
How did this situation first come to light?
Well, I was running for mayor in 2017. I came in on the last leg and decided to come in as a write-in candidate. So during one of the meetings where we were inviting members of the community to come to get to know me, I met Pauline Ray Brown and Eugene Smith. Tre, they came to my meeting with binders with a plethora of information and said, what are you going to do about this water crisis? First, I didn't know Denmark had a water crisis.
Had a water crisis, right?
Yeah. So I had been working very closely with the mayor. I had received letters of recommendation, letters of thanks from the mayor at the time for the work that I had been doing in the community. So he and I at the time had a really good working rapport. But the further down the rabbit hole I went, I realized there was a problem. And I wanted to know why no one had done anything to help this community.
Right. So these folks sent you all of this information saying, this is happening, but the mayor had not mentioned it to you or anyone else.
No, never once. Never
Right.
once. Now I've heard it in conversations because, like I said, before even running for office of mayor the first time in 2017, I was deeply engaged in the community, from helping with education with the local schools to providing a program for special needs children and being able to help those nonverbal children find their voice. So in doing so, I had heard conversations from folks in the city but just never knew too much. But once I learned and it was brought to my attention, I met with the mayor and I asked, I said, did you know that this was a problem? His response is what caused me to say, he failed the people of Denmark. He disregarded the public safety, the public health, and he was putting private interest over the people. And that's when I decided to stand up, fight, be the activist who I knew I was born to be. Right. And now, because I know that the only way we can see real change is for me to run for office.
Yeah. Carol Coakley says New Denmark. Antoinette Bowman says time for a change. And Brandon Upson says Mayor Wright failed the people of Denmark. Thank you all so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Please continue to post and share this message out so we can get the message to the masses. So in 2017, you were running without knowing about the water crisis issue. You were just running because you wanted to change, right?
Right. And I was running because the change or the preface that I was running on was based off the interactions I've had with the community, and their concerns with saying, they were tired of things being the same old. They were wanting more things for the youth to be able to do, and was just basically crying out for help. So my running for mayor the first time was really not on the water crisis issue. It was on the fact that you had out of touch politicians who forgot the sound of their community.
Mm-hmm. Deanna Miller Berry is joining us. She is running for mayor of Denmark, South Carolina. As she was saying, she found out that there was a water crisis, 10 years of pesticides being dumped in the water in this town of primarily African-American people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah. So what is happening now as far as the water crisis is concerned, Deanna? Because I know from, like I said, you and I met each other a couple of years ago when Marianne Williamson was running for president. I know that you have been on the battlefield, so to speak, advocating for some change for a while. What is happening now as far as that water situation?
We're still in the same state, Tre.
Wow.
Now, recently, December 2nd, 2020, DHEC released a sanitation survey, which indicated that the city of Denmark had met their qualifications. So pretty much they had a satisfactory rating. But when looking at that document, if you don't know the history behind what brought us to where we're at, then it's going to look as though we no longer have a water problem. The truth is, in 2018, when there was a cease and desist order placed to the city, telling them you got to stop using this chemical immediately, the city went from passing satisfactory on their survey reports to needs improvement to unsatisfactory. So from 2018 to December 2020, they have been unsatisfactory consistently. Now, the thing is, if you don't know the backstory on the 2009, the 2007, the 2012 survey reports like I have, you'll see on that recent survey report, there's an individual that's listed that works for the city that works for the Public Works Department. That's the person who the city was cited for and fined for improperly administering halo sand, for not properly documenting, and for and not being able to tell us exactly what they did. They figured out ways to cheat the system. The system is so old, it's aged. We've got aging infrastructure. It's 100 years old. Okay. So there are ways that you can manipulate systems when you have the very basic level of testing, which is why we need to get our experts to come back in, properly diagnose our water infrastructure so that we can progress and move forward to secure funding and be able to get reparations for the people of Denmark.
Yeah. Deanna Miller Berry joins us. She is running for the mayor of Denmark. Brandon Upson says, this goes deep. Wow, it does, Brandon. It really does. And Annette Amory Bowman says, get out and vote, Denmark. Nadia Muhammad says, Denmark election is February 9th. Wow. So it is coming up really soon here, Deanna. Yeah. So who is Mayor Wright running for re-election?
He is. And right now, there's a lot of smoke screen. We already know what politics does.
Yeah.
I'm tired of folks playing Russian roulette with our people's lives.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about our people, I'm not just talking about Black folk, people of color, about people, period.
That's right.
We need to
because this affects everybody. This affects everybody. Black, white, doesn't matter what color you are. Because how are you getting your water now, though, if the water is tainted?
Well, folks, we have no choice. We're not like Flint. We can't just switch a button or switch over to a different alternate water source. This is all we have.
Right.
And the water that comes up out of our system, that comes from the ground is perfect water. But the problem comes into play when it hits our infrastructure and all of the contaminants that's in our water. What industry or business is going to come to us with failing infrastructure?
Right.
So we fix this water infrastructure. We fix our roads to be able to withstand the traffic that's going to start coming through, and the industry will come. It's almost like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. So election is February 9th. It's you and Mayor Wright. How are you feeling about the election, Deanna, right now?
I'm feeling really, really confident about the election because folks here in Denmark are really ready for a new Denmark. But we're up against a lot of challenges. You got to think you've got an incumbent who's managed to work his way into the community and galvanize the votes of the elderly. But we're petitioning for the younger, the millennials, to please come out, because at the end of the day, this is your future. That we're trying to build towards, and your children's future. And the other challenge we have is fundraising. Like, a lot of folks ask, why do you need to raise so much money in such a rural community? Well, when you're up against an incumbent like Gerald Wright, you have to be able to have funding to be able to meet your campaign needs. Right. Second of all, we want to hire new organizers to be boots on the ground. I had a friend of mine who told me yesterday, she said, Deanna, I don't have any boots, but I got my Chuck Taylor, so I can put my Chuck in the ground. Right. So Kamala has inspired not just me, but she's also inspired this entire community. So folks are ready to be boots on the ground, but we want to be able to provide folks with the opportunity to be able to work in my campaign so that they can learn and be a new breed of organizers so we can eventually turn South Carolina blue.
Absolutely. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the mayor of Denmark is a brother. He's a brother, right? He's a man of color. That's why I was sitting up here Googling, and
he was born and raised right here in Denmark. These are his people. This is his family and his community, and he allowed this injustice to happen.
He's continuing to allow.
The mayor has full power, regardless of what anyone says. Trust me, I purchased a copy of the ordinance book, so I know the city's ordinance codes from front to back. And I know the power that the office of the mayor have. And it is the mayor's job to secure the funding to make sure that we're not taxing our people. We're not inflating water rates. You got folks who have, like for me, I have a $3,000 water bill. You got residents who have,
girl, have mercy.
You have residents who have $500, $600 water bills each month. And they host private meetings where they raised the rates in the middle of the pandemic. They were the first town in South Carolina to raise water rates right at the peak of COVID-19. Now, folks are losing their homes. Like you just did the segment a few minutes ago with the NAACP. Yeah. We're having those same problems now. Folks have been evicted. Landlords don't know what to do because they too have to live just just like their tenants do. So, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. It's like, at what point do we put the public first? Do we put our constituents first and work towards the economic growth and stability of our communities?
Nadia says Deanna is a true server of the people. Carol says everyone who looks like us ain't for us. You know what, Carol? I when you said that, I thought about the saying, "All skin folk ain't kinfolk."
All skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's right.
Renardo Duggins says, let's go Denmark, get out and vote. Absolutely. And Brandon Upson says, Denmark and our other small rural towns are struggling economically. You're right, Brandon. They need new leadership who will bring tangible solutions. And you're right, Brandon, it's happening across America, across our country. And, you know, especially here in South Carolina, we've got a lot of these small rural communities. I mean, we already know that there is problems with the internet connection. Our children are not able to learn now during a pandemic when internet is essential. You know, so there's so many concerns and issues, particularly for these small rural communities. And we have got to you know, we've got to do what we can do. And that's the thing that I love about you, Deanna. Listen, we all can't do everything, but we can do what we can do. And if we all use our gifts, our talents, our resources to do what we can do in our space, then it can impact the world. Deanna Miller Berry is running for mayor of Denmark, South Carolina. So in addition to the water, which is going to be, I'm sure, your major thing that you're going to work on, what are some of the other things in Denmark that you see as things that need to be changed?
Access to healthcare. We do have a new urgent care facility that was just built a few years ago, but we need more than just that, because there's definitely a disconnect when it comes to access to healthcare. Affordable housing is an issue.
Yeah.
You know, it is cost effective to live in Denmark, but the problem is the types of housing. There's not enough funding for folks to be able to update these houses to where, you know, folks don't have to worry about extreme high utility bills such as water and power. Some other challenges that we see that we have is there's a disconnect when it comes to education and our youth being able to provide things that would be able to captivate and motivate our young people and keep them busy. Jobs. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
And being a mayor for guaranteed income, because I believe in guaranteed income, and I just got accepted and I'm not even a mayor yet. So I just got to get elected to be able to implement it. But what that UBI will look like and how it would change our community is it would give folks access to guaranteed income, but also stabilize our economy to where our business districts would be able to flourish too as well. So those are some of the few challenges in transportation. Like broadband is a huge issue. We don't have Uber, we don't have Lyft. We could never get that unless we get access to broadband.
Wow.
So there are a lot of challenges that this community is faced with, on top of being taxed with their property taxes from the county level and then being taxed extremely high on their water and energy bill rates.
So from the folks of Denmark, obviously you need them to get out and vote for you. What can folks that don't live in Denmark do? What do you need help with, Deanna?
Folks who don't live in Denmark, besides sharing our content, like we say that all the time, please share your content. But if you could donate $5 to $10, we have almost 30 young individuals between the ages of 18 and 25 who are ready to be new organizers.
Wow.
Just help us be able to invest into them, and that way they can learn the knowledge that they need so that we can continue to elect the right people into office. We also have other candidates who've stepped up to the plate to run for city council. They said that they were inspired by my run, so now they are running, and we're sort of running like as a pack.
Yeah, yeah.
We're supporting each other out there.
Yeah.
But folks can support us by donating, like just even if it's $5, every dollar counts.
So can they go to your website and donate?
Yeah.
Is there a donate button there? DeannaMillerBerry.com. DeannaMillerBerry.com. Visit her website and please donate what you can to help the city of Denmark. Listen, you don't have to live in the city of Denmark to recognize that this is a problem that really impacts all of us, because you don't know when you're going to be connected with someone from Denmark. I mean, this is just a basic human right to have clean water to drink. And it has been neglected for 10 plus years in this small South Carolina rural city. But this sister is stepping out and running for mayor so that she can affect some change. Anything else we need to know, Deanna?
Yeah, and I just want folks to know that, for number one, we're not the only city in South Carolina or town in South Carolina that's experiencing an environmental issue or an environmental crisis. There are cities and towns throughout South Carolina that are being overlooked. Helping Denmark, helping us win this election. I am going to be that voice who will be relentless and who will go after the funding and also go after those agencies who swore to protect us, like DHEC, and make sure that they do right by the people. So helping Denmark is going to be a great segue to helping all of the other communities in South Carolina that don't have a voice like the city of Denmark has. So we can work together and make our state great.
Right. Deanna Miller Berry is running for mayor of Denmark. You can see her website information on the screen, DeannaMillerBerry.com. You can call her 803-298-8357. She needs definitely your vote, and she needs your donation. No donation is too small to help this sister achieve her goals for the city of Denmark. Annette Bowman says she will fight for Denmark. She never stopped. Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop.
Right. And you know, look, I don't live in Denmark, and I don't, but I can say that I didn't meet you when you were running. I met you after you ran the first time, and you were relentless, girl, in trying to getting Marianne to hear the plight of what was going on in your city. Carol Coakley says, hashtag new Denmark. Well, listen, good luck to you. Congratulations. Whatever I can do to help, I will make a donation. Please let me know. And I'm always already thinking about some things, but yeah. So again, if you know someone in Denmark, if you are able to donate something, please donate to this young sister who is just trying to make a change in her community. And like I said, I think it's the year of women, particularly women of color. So let's support this sister who is really trying to affect some change in the community. Deanna Miller Berry, thank you again so much for joining us. Again, the information is on the screen. You can email her at deanna.berry@deannamillerberry.com or visit her website at deannamillerberry.com. Deanna, thank you again so much for joining us. Again, good luck. God bless you. And do your thing, girl.
Thank you, Trey. We're going to do it together. Can't do it alone.
Yeah, you look beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's Deanna Miller Berry. And don't forget, she is running for mayor of Denmark, South Carolina, small town in South Carolina that needs your help, needs your support. And they need folks to help them. Help the folks in that area. Wow, that water crisis is crazy. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. If you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to the Tailor Made production page on Facebook and inbox me. We would love to feature your product or service on Coping with COVID. If you have a product or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. The information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and we would love to spotlight you, just like SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, Palmetto Media Connection, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, and In It Together SC. Tomorrow on Coping with COVID, it's Faith Friday, and we continue our New Year, New You series by talking to Betty Parker. She is with Sharper Solutions, and she's going to talk about developing goals and achieving success in your career amidst a pandemic. That's tomorrow on Coping with COVID. Next Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. And it's National Heart Month in February. And we're going to talk about heart health. You know, that is the number one killer of women. So we're going to talk about that. And then next Friday on Faith Friday, we will talk to Rashonda Pratt. She stepped out on faith. She left her good job, and she's doing great right now. We're going to talk about that and more coming up next week on Coping with COVID. As usual, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. Today is January 28th, and Jesus says, I am with you always. Those were the last words I spoke before ascending into heaven. I continue to proclaim this promise to all who will listen. People respond to my continual presence in various ways. Most Christians accept this teaching as truth, but ignore it in their daily living. Wow. Some ill-taught or wounded believe fear, and even many resent my awareness of all they do, say, and think. A few people center their lives around this glorious promise and find themselves blessed beyond all expectations. When my presence, Jesus says, is the focal point of your consciousness, all the pieces of your life fall into place. As you gaze at me through the eyes of your heart, you can see the world around you from my perspective. The fact that I am with you makes every moment of your life meaningful. That's your Jesus Calling for today, January 28, 2021. I'm Tre Tailor. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. I pray you safety and ask you to please wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. See you tomorrow.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.